The name Enterprise holds a legendary place in U.S. Navy history, and none more so than the USS Enterprise, CV-6, the most decorated American aircraft carrier of World War II. Nicknamed the Big E, she became a symbol of resilience, power, and determination in the face of overwhelming odds. The legacy of the name dates back to the very beginnings of American naval history. The original Enterprise was a captured British schooner taken by the Continental Navy in 1775 during the Revolutionary War. That small vessel, armed with just a handful of cannons, served valiantly in the early fight for American independence, and from that humble start, a proud tradition was born. The second Enterprise, launched in 1799, was a schooner that later became a brig, and she was a fighter. During the quasi-war with France, she captured 8 enemy privateers without suffering a single loss. But her real fame came in 1801, during the First Barbary War, when she took on the corsair Tripoli. Outgunned and outnumbered, the Enterprise fought a fierce battle and emerged victorious, without losing a single man. Later, during the War of 1812, she would again distinguish herself by defeating the British brig HMS Boxer. It was a brutal, close-range fight. Both captains were killed, but Enterprise stood victorious. Her record was undeniable. More than 20 captures across multiple conflicts. Commissioned in May 1938, she was a Yorktown-class aircraft carrier, built in a time when naval aviation was still a relatively new concept. Yet, in just a few short years, the Enterprise would become the spearhead of America's naval war in the Pacific. When the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, the Enterprise was at sea returning from a mission to deliver aircraft to Wake Island. She narrowly avoided the attack but quickly moved into action. Her aircraft were among the first to retaliate against Japanese forces in the days immediately following the attack. From that moment forward, the Enterprise was almost constantly engaged in combat for the next 4 years. She fought in nearly every major battle in the Pacific theater. In 1942, the Enterprise played a key role in the Doolittle raid, escorting the USS Hornet as it launched bombers toward Tokyo. She then fought in the Battle of Midway, one of the most critical naval battles of the war. Enterprise aircraft helped sink 3 Japanese carriers, Kaga, Akagi, and Soryu, turning the tide of the Pacific War in favor of the Allies. Later that year, she was heavily involved in the Guadalcanal campaign, supporting U.S. Marines during fierce fighting and engaging in the Battle of the Eastern Solomons and the Battle of the Santa Cruz Islands. Despite being hit and damaged several times, the Enterprise kept returning to action. After one repair period, workers posted a sign on the ship, "Enterprise versus Japan." In 1943 and 1944, the Enterprise continued her streak of service, participating in operations across the Gilbert and Marshall Islands, the Battle of the Philippine Sea, and strikes against Japanese forces in the Marianas and Palau. During the Battle of Leyte Gulf, one of the largest naval battles in history, the Enterprise launched airstrikes that helped sink Japanese battleships and carriers. As World War II drew to a close, the USS Enterprise continued to play a critical role in the Pacific theater. She supported the amphibious assaults at Iwo Jima and Okinawa, and launched powerful air raids against the Japanese home islands. In May 1945, however, a kamikaze attack struck the Enterprise, forcing her to withdraw and return to the United States for repairs. The war would end before she could rejoin the fight. By the end of the conflict, the USS Enterprise had compiled a combat record unmatched by any other U.S. warship. She earned 20 battle stars, the most of any American vessel during the war, and was the only aircraft carrier present at Pearl Harbor in 1941 that survived to witness Japan's surrender in 1945. Her accomplishments were staggering. Aircraft from the Enterprise were credited with destroying 911 enemy planes, sinking 71 ships, and damaging more than 200 others. No other U.S. carrier fought in more battles, sank more enemy ships, or downed more aircraft. For her extraordinary service, the Enterprise was awarded the Presidential Unit Citation and became a symbol of American resilience and naval power. The men who served aboard her were likewise recognized for their heroism, earning hundreds of individual medals, including Navy Crosses, Silver Stars, Distinguished Flying Crosses, and air medals. Among the most celebrated were Lieutenant Commander Clarence "Dusty" Clyce and Lieutenant Dick Best, whose daring and precision during the Battle of Midway led to the sinking of 3 Japanese aircraft carriers, turning the tide of the war in the Pacific. Despite her heroic service, the USS Enterprise was decommissioned in 1947. For years, veterans and historians campaigned to preserve her as a museum, but funding fell short. In 1958, she was scrapped, a somber end for one of the greatest warships in American history. But the legacy of the Enterprise didn't end there. The name was passed on to CV-65, the world's first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, commissioned in 1961. That Enterprise also served for over 50 years before being retired in 2017. And now, a new USS Enterprise is on the horizon. The USS Enterprise, CVN-80, is currently under construction as the 9th U.S. Navy vessel to bear the name. She will be a Gerald R. Ford-class aircraft carrier, featuring cutting-edge technology, electromagnetic launch systems, and a crew prepared to carry the legacy of the Big E into the 21st century. CVN-80 is expected to join the fleet in 2028, continuing the name Enterprise into a new era of naval power and innovation. The story of the USS Enterprise is one of endurance, heroism, and tradition. From the burning skies over Midway to the steel yards building her modern successor, the name Enterprise remains a symbol of American strength and resolve.